The one who loves you a lot ignores you a lot, not because they don't care, but because love is complicated. Love isn't just words, it's energy. And feminine energy, when it's expressed the right way, has the power to make a man fall. Not just for your beauty, not just for your presence, but for your soul. You see, a man doesn't fall deeply in love with what you do for him. He falls deeply in love with how he feels when he's around you. And that is where your feminine energy becomes your greatest gift, your divine power. Tonight, I want to reveal to you the 3 feminine energies that don't just attract a man, but make him stay, make him commit, and make him fall so deeply in love that he never looks at another woman the same way again. Listen, men chase beauty, but they stay for energy. A man can be impressed by your looks, your status, even your lifestyle, but what truly captures his heart is something deeper, the way your energy makes him feel safe, alive, inspired, and connected. That energy is God's gift to every woman. It's not about pretending, it's not about performing, it's about embodying. When you step into your feminine essence, you don't chase love. You don't beg for attention, you pull it in naturally. And here's the truth, the woman who masters her feminine energy never has to question where she stands in a man's life, because her presence becomes unforgettable. That is what I want for you. To stop guessing, to stop doubting, and to start embodying the divine energies that make a man's heart lock onto yours. There is a powerful truth that most people overlook. Softness is not weakness. In fact, softness is one of the most magnetic, irresistible energies a woman can embody. You see, in a world that glorifies toughness, that tells us to be strong, independent, and unshakable at every turn, softness has become rare. But that rarity is what makes it so valuable, so unforgettable. A man might admire your independence, respect your drive, and even be inspired by your ambition. But what makes him fall deeply in love, what makes him crave your presence above all others, is the softness you bring into his life. That softness doesn't mean you give up your strength. It means you know when to shift gears. It means you can stand firm when life requires it, but you can also melt, you can allow, you can receive. Imagine this for a moment. A man comes home from a long, exhausting day. The world has demanded his armor, his toughness, his constant battle, ready mindset. He's been competing, negotiating, grinding, proving himself non-stop. Everywhere he goes, he has to be sharp, he has to fight. But when he comes into your space, he doesn't want another battle. He doesn't want another person demanding, criticizing, or competing with him. What he wants, what he deeply craves, is a place to rest, to breathe, to drop the armor. And when you bring softness, you become that place. You become the calm in his storm, the peace in his chaos, the space where he feels alive again. This doesn't mean you lower your standards or let anyone walk over you. No, true softness actually requires strength, because softness is a choice. Weakness is when you fold, because you don't have the power to stand. Softness is when you choose to lean in, to show compassion, to hold space, even though you are fully capable of being hard. That's why softness is magnetic. It's a demonstration of control. It tells a man, I can fight if I want to, but with you, I'd rather flow. That's what makes him addicted. Think about the moments in your own life when someone has been soft with you. Maybe it was a friend who simply listened instead of judging, a parent who hugged you when you expected criticism, or even a stranger who smiled at you when you were having a rough day. Those moments stay with you, because softness is healing. It nourishes the soul in a way no lecture, no toughness, no hardness ever could. That's exactly what happens to a man when you embody this feminine energy. He doesn't just like being around you, he needs it. You become the place where he remembers who he truly is without all the noise. And here's where it becomes even more powerful. Men often don't admit it, but they are starving for softness. Because they are trained to be strong, to hold it all together, to never show weakness, they rarely get softness from the world. But the woman who embodies it, the woman who knows how to be gentle with his heart, instantly stands out from every other person in his life. It's not just attractive, it's unforgettable. Now let's get practical. How does softness look in daily life? It's not about lowering your voice or acting fragile. Softness shows up in the way you look at him when he speaks, giving him your full attention, instead of scrolling your phone. It's in the way you touch his hand gently instead of rushing past him. It's in the way you can calm an argument by lowering the temperature instead of raising it higher. It's in laughter, in the willingness to be playful when things get heavy. It's in choosing compassion when it would be easier to criticize. These are simple shifts, but they create an energy that no man can resist. Softness also doesn't mean you hide your power. In fact, your power becomes more visible when you balance it with softness. Picture this: a woman who is confident in her career, making decisions, commanding respect. But when she is with her man, she can relax. She can let go of control. She can allow him to lead sometimes. That combination is dynamite, because it tells him, she doesn't need me, but she chooses to let me in. And that choice is intoxicating. We live in a time where people confuse hardness with strength, but hardness can push people away. It creates walls. Softness, on the other hand, creates bridges. Softness makes people lean in. A man doesn't fall in love with a woman because she proves she's tougher than him. He falls in love because she makes him feel more human, more alive, more seen. And that's why this feminine energy is one of the most powerful tools you will ever own. When you practice softness, you'll notice something: the world responds differently. People open up to you more. Arguments de-escalate faster. Men treat you with more care. Because the truth is, softness doesn't just make a man fall deeply in love. It makes life itself fall more in love with you. It makes opportunities flow. It makes connections deepen. It makes your presence felt. Softness, when chosen consciously, becomes a superpower. So the next time you think softness makes you look weak, remember this: softness is strength under control. It's divine energy flowing through you, reminding the world that love, kindness, and grace are more powerful than force. And when a man feels that from you, he won't just admire you. He will fall so deeply in love that he will never want to live without the peace your presence brings. One of the most powerful feminine energies that makes a man fall deeply in love is mystery. Not the kind of mystery that confuses him or plays games, but the kind that awakens his curiosity, keeps his mind engaged, and his heart leaning forward. A man doesn't fall in love because he has you all figured out on the first day. He falls in love because every time he thinks he knows you, there's another layer, another depth, another spark that makes him lean in again. That's the secret. Mystery makes love addictive. Think about it. When you pick up a book and the first page tells you everything, you close it. There's nothing to discover, nothing to chase. But the books you can't put down are the ones that reveal just enough to keep you hooked, but never so much that the story feels complete. That's exactly how men experience love. If you give him everything, your time, your attention, your secrets, your soul, before he's even invested, he doesn't value it. It's not because he's cruel. It's because human nature values the pursuit, the unfolding, the discovery. Mystery doesn't mean silence. It doesn't mean shutting down or withholding your personality. It's not about being cold or distant. Mystery is about leaving space. It's about letting him earn the deeper parts of you, instead of handing them over all at once. It's showing him glimpses of your dreams, your passions, your emotions, but not pouring the entire ocean on him in the first meeting. Let's look at real life. Imagine you're on a first date, and he asks, "What do you love to do in life?" Mystery is not saying, "I don't want to tell you." That's not mysterious, that's dismissive. Mystery is when you smile, share a little, and then say, "There's more to that story, but maybe I'll tell you another time." Do you see what happens? You've left the door open. You've given him a reason to want the next conversation. You've sparked his curiosity, and curiosity is what keeps his energy chasing. Men are wired to pursue, to solve, to discover. That doesn't mean you play hard to get in a fake way. It means you respect your own depth. You don't reveal all your scars, all your secrets, all your vulnerabilities to someone who hasn't earned them yet. That makes him work for the privilege of knowing you. And when he earns it, he treasures it. Think of the women in your life who always seem to have a magnetic pull around them. They're not the loudest in the room. They're not the ones oversharing every detail of their life. They're the ones who hold themselves with an air of self-possession. You never feel like you've reached the bottom of who they are, and that keeps you drawn in. That's the feminine energy of mystery. And let's be honest, mystery isn't just for him. It keeps the spark alive for you. Because when you maintain your mystery, you're reminding yourself that you are still a growing, evolving person. You're not giving away your whole identity for the sake of being in love. You keep your passions alive, your friendship strong, your personal growth ongoing. That way, even years into a relationship, he looks at you and thinks, wow, she still surprises me. She's still unfolding. That's how couples keep falling deeper instead of growing bored. Let me give you a daily life example. Imagine you're in a long-term relationship. He asks, what are you up to this weekend? Mystery is when you say, I've got something planned that's just for me, and I'm really excited about it. Maybe it's a class, a workshop, a project, or even a quiet solo day. By doing this, you remind him you're not fully defined by him. You have your own world, and he gets to be invited into it when you choose. That kind of energy is intoxicating because it keeps the relationship alive with curiosity. Now, here's where women sometimes get it wrong. They think being mysterious means hiding, being cold, or playing manipulative games. That's not attractive, that's exhausting. True mystery comes from authenticity. It's not that you're hiding who you are, it's that you're showing who you are in layers. It's that you don't feel the need to prove everything at once. That's why mystery and confidence go hand in hand. A confident woman doesn't feel the urge to dump her whole story in the first hour. She knows her life is too valuable to be revealed all at once. And here's the deeper truth. A man who feels curiosity for you today will keep chasing tomorrow. He will keep showing up, keep putting in effort, because he feels like every time he sees you, he's discovering something new. And men don't walk away from discovery. They stay addicted to it. That's why the energy of mystery doesn't just make him fall, it keeps him falling. So, if you want a man to fall deeply in love, don't think about what you can do to keep his attention. Think about who you can be to keep his curiosity. Be the woman who is always growing, always surprising, always evolving. Be the woman who leaves room for him to wonder, what will I learn about her next? That kind of energy makes him realize that being with you is not a completed story. It's a lifetime of discovery. And that's the most beautiful thing you can give in love, the endless unfolding of who you are. That's not a game. That's not a trick. That's divine feminine energy at its most magnetic. One of the greatest secrets to making a man fall deeply in love is not in giving him everything he wants. It's in inspiring him to rise higher. This is where the energy of respectful challenge comes in. A man might be fascinated by beauty. He might enjoy affection. But what truly captures his soul is a woman who doesn't just accept him as he is, but also believes he can be more. Not in a nagging way, not in a controlling way, but in a way that sparks his masculine drive to grow. Respectful challenge is the art of loving him while also stretching him. It's saying, I see who you are, I value who you are, but I also see the man you're capable of becoming. That combination makes you unforgettable. Think about it, men are natural competitors. From childhood, they're wired to chase goals, prove themselves, and test their limits. But here's the thing. Once they reach a certain level, they can get comfortable. They stop pushing. They settle into patterns. And while that might feel safe, it doesn't inspire deep passion. A man falls for the woman who refuses to let him get too comfortable in mediocrity. She makes him want to bring his best self to the table. She challenges him, not by tearing him down, but by holding him to the highest vision of himself. Let's take an everyday example. Imagine your partner says he's been thinking about starting a business, but every time he talks about it, he backs off with excuses. A woman who doesn't understand the energy of challenge might either ignore it or push him aggressively, saying, "Why don't you ever do what you say?" That kills inspiration, because it feels like an attack. But a woman who embodies respectful challenge looks him in the eye and says, "I believe you can do this. I can see it in you, and I'd love to see you step into that version of yourself." Do you see the difference? The first response criticizes, the second inspires. And when a man feels inspired by you, he doesn't just feel loved, he feels alive. Respectful challenge also shows up in the small, everyday moments. It's in not letting him get away with laziness in the relationship. If he starts taking you for granted, you don't scream, nag, or beg. You simply raise the standard. You let your actions communicate, or I expect more from the man in my life. Maybe you don't accept last-minute plans all the time. Maybe you calmly express that you value quality time over half-hearted attention. These aren't ultimatums, as standards, and standards challenge men in the most powerful way possible. They make him realize, if I want this woman, I have to rise to meet her. Now, let's be clear, challenge without respect is poison. If you challenge a man by belittling him, mocking him, or constantly pointing out his flaws, you'll crush his spirit. He won't rise, he'll retreat. But when you challenge with respect, you awaken his masculine drive to protect, to provide, to grow, to conquer. Respect tells him, I see your value. Challenge tells him, don't waste it. Together, those two energies are irresistible. Think about the most inspiring relationships you've ever witnessed. They're not ones where the woman bends over backwards and accepts the bare minimum. They're not ones where the man dominates without resistance. They're relationships where both people elevate each other. The woman encourages the man to step into his best, and the man feels proud to do it because her belief fuels him. That's the power of respectful challenge. It becomes a cycle of growth and love. Here's another daily life scenario. Maybe he's been slacking on his health, eating poorly, skipping the gym. You could nag him about it, or you could invite him into a challenge. Instead of saying, you're so lazy, why don't you ever work out? You might say, let's do a 30-day challenge together. I know you'll crush it, and I'd love to see you on top of your game. Suddenly, what could have been criticism turns into inspiration. You've sparked his competitive spirit, and because it came from respect and belief, he actually wants to step up. Respectful challenge isn't just about his external goals either. It's also about the way he loves you. If he's giving you surface-level effort, respectful challenge is holding out for deeper connection. It's saying, through your actions and presence, I need more than the bare minimum. Not because you're hard to please, but because you know you deserve love at its highest level. Men don't fall in love with women who let them get away with half-hearted affection. They fall in love with women who inspire them to give everything they've got. And here's the beauty. Men secretly crave this kind of challenge. They might resist it in the moment, but deep down, it makes them feel alive. Because every man wants to be seen as capable, powerful, and valuable. When you challenge him respectfully, you are essentially saying, I believe in your greatness, and I'm not going to let you forget it. That's the kind of energy that makes a man fall, not just in love, but into his higher purpose. When you embody this feminine energy, you're not just his lover, you're his mirror. You reflect back to him the man he is, and the man he could become. And when he sees himself through your eyes, when he realizes you won't let him stay small, he doesn't just love you. He respects you deeply. And respect is the foundation of lasting, passionate love. So, if you want to know the truth, a man doesn't fall deeply in love with the woman who gives him everything easily. He falls for the woman who respects him enough to expect more, who believes in him enough to challenge him, who loves him enough to push him toward his highest potential. That's not pressure, that's inspiration. That's not criticism, that's belief. And when you master this energy, you don't just win his love, you win his lifelong admiration. Every strong man, no matter how confident he looks on the outside, carries battles on the inside that the world never sees. Society tells men to be tough, to hold it together, to never show weakness. And so, they walk around with a mask on, hiding the weight they carry. But here's the truth. Beneath every man's armor is a heart that longs for one thing. A place where he feels safe enough to let it all down. That's where the feminine energy of emotional safety becomes life-changing. A man doesn't just fall in love with the woman who excites him. He falls deeply, unshakably in love with the woman who gives him the rare gift of feeling emotionally safe. Emotional safety means being the person who doesn't judge his vulnerability, who doesn't laugh when he opens up, who doesn't use his weaknesses against him later. It's being the woman who can hold space for him to be raw, to be imperfect, to be human. That kind of energy is priceless to a man, because it's so rare. He might have colleagues who admire his success, friends who cheer on his achievements, even family who depend on his strength. But very few people make him feel like he can drop the weight and just be. When he finds that in you, he will hold on to it like gold. Think about daily life. Imagine he comes home after a brutal day, shoulders heavy, mind spinning. Many people would respond by pushing him to talk, or worse, criticizing him for being quiet. Emotional safety, however, looks different. It's when you sense his energy and you give him room to breathe. You say with your presence, "You don't have to perform here. You don't have to be strong here. You can just be." Maybe it's a gentle touch. Maybe it's simply sitting next to him without demanding words. That calm, accepting energy speaks louder than anything. It tells him, this is your refuge. And when a man feels that, he begins to crave you. Not just your body, not just your beauty, but your presence, because it feels like peace. Emotional safety also shows up in the way you listen. Most people listen to reply. They're waiting for their turn to speak, or they're already forming opinions. But a woman who offers emotional safety listens to understand. She leans in, she doesn't interrupt, she doesn't roll her eyes. Even if she disagrees, she allows him to feel heard. And do you know what happens when a man feels truly heard? He bonds, he attaches. Because being heard is not just communication, it's connection. Now, let's be real, emotional safety is not about tolerating everything or never speaking up. It doesn't mean you become a doormat or suppress your own needs. In fact, it's the opposite. Emotional safety thrives in honesty. It's being able to express your truth with kindness, so that both of you feel respected. For example, instead of saying, "You never listen to me," you might say, "I feel most connected to you when we're really tuned in to each other, and I miss that right now." That's still holding a standard, but it's doing so in a way that invites closeness instead of creating distance. Another piece of emotional safety is consistency. Men, like anyone, open up in environments they trust. If you're unpredictable, sometimes supportive, other times explosive, he won't feel safe to share his deeper layers. But if you consistently show him that his vulnerability will be met with care, he'll trust you with more and more of himself. That's when love deepens. Because love isn't just about attraction, it's about trust. And emotional safety is what builds unshakable trust. Think about a time when you felt safe with someone. Maybe it was a friend who let you cry without judgment, or someone who celebrated your success without jealousy. That feeling of safety is unforgettable. It's the same for men. They may not talk about it, but they're drawn to it like oxygen. A man may admire many women, but he only invests his heart with the woman who makes him feel safe to be real. In everyday relationships, emotional safety can look like simple habits, respecting his need for space instead of panicking, not throwing his past mistakes back in his face during an argument, showing appreciation for his efforts instead of only pointing out where he falls short. These small choices build an environment where he can relax into the relationship instead of bracing himself for conflict all the time. And when a man feels relaxed, when he feels accepted, he doesn't just stick around. He gives more of himself. He gives his devotion, his loyalty, his heart. Here's something most people overlook: the strongest men often need emotional safety the most. The leaders, the providers, the achievers, they're used to carrying the load for everyone else. They're used to being the rock. But the rock needs somewhere to rest too. And the woman who becomes that safe place doesn't just win his love. She becomes irreplaceable. Because no amount of success, no amount of money, no amount of admiration from the outside world compares to the feeling of being truly seen and accepted at home. And here's the magic: when you give emotional safety, you get it back. When a man feels safe with you, he starts creating that same space for you. He listens more, he opens up more, he invests more deeply. Safety breeds safety. Love grows in that soil. It's not fireworks that sustain a relationship, it's trust. And trust is built one moment of emotional safety at a time. So, if you want to know why emotional safety is such a powerful feminine energy, here's the truth: it transforms love from something shallow into something unbreakable. It's what makes him not only want you, but want to protect you, to cherish you, to never let go. Because while attraction might catch his eye, emotional safety captures his soul. And when a man gives you his soul, you don't just have his love, you have his forever. If there is one feminine energy that has the power to make a man fall deeper in love every single day, it is playfulness. Joy is magnetic. Laughter is medicine. Playfulness is the secret spark that keeps love alive long after the first butterflies fade. A man may be drawn to beauty, impressed by intelligence, or moved by kindness. But what makes him addicted, what makes him crave your presence like oxygen, is the joy you bring into his life. Playfulness is not about being childish or pretending life is always easy. It's about carrying a lightness in your spirit, a willingness to laugh, to dance, to be silly, to find delight even in the ordinary. That energy doesn't just attract love, it sustains it. Think about it, the world is heavy. Work pressures, bills, responsibilities, expectations, they weigh people down. Everywhere a man goes, life is demanding something from him. And then he meets you, and suddenly he feels lighter. He feels like life is not just about surviving, but about enjoying. That's the gift of playfulness. You remind him that happiness is not in some distant future. It's here, now, in the shared moments of joy you create together. That's the kind of energy no man forgets. Daily life offers endless opportunities for playfulness. Imagine you're cooking dinner together. Instead of just focusing on the recipe, you turn up the music, you dance with him in the kitchen, you throw flour at him just to make him laugh. Suddenly, what could have been a routine task becomes a memory. Or picture a moment when he's stressed about something, work deadlines, tough decisions, the weight of responsibility. Instead of meeting that energy with more pressure, you lighten it with a smile, a joke, or a playful challenge. You shift his state, and he looks at you not just as a partner, but as his escape, his joy, his favorite part of life. Playfulness doesn't mean ignoring problems. It doesn't mean pretending everything is perfect. In fact, sometimes it's your ability to find joy, even in struggle, that makes you most irresistible. Imagine a road trip where you get lost. One woman might panic, complain, or start a fight. But the playful woman laughs, says, "Well, looks like we're on an adventure now," and turns the mistake into a story. That kind of energy is contagious. It transforms stress into connection. It shows him that with you, even challenges can be fun. And men fall deeply for the woman who can turn life into an adventure. The beauty of playfulness is that it brings out the child in him, the part of him that rarely gets permission to come out. Men are often told to be serious, responsible, in control. But with a playful woman, he can let that go. He can be goofy, he can laugh until his stomach hurts, he can rediscover that carefree side of himself. And when a man finds someone who awakens that joy in him, he doesn't just enjoy her, he treasures her. Because joy is rare, and people cling to those who make them feel it. Playfulness is also powerful in intimacy. It keeps passion alive. It prevents love from becoming routine. A smile, a tease, a playful touch. It keeps the energy between you exciting, unpredictable, and full of life. Men don't fall in love with routine. They fall in love with the woman who can make the familiar feel new again. That's the gift of joy. It constantly renews love. Now, let's be clear, playfulness is not about being fake or pretending to be happy all the time. It's about authenticity. It's about choosing joy, even in small ways, because you understand the power of your energy. You laugh when you could complain. You smile when you could frown. You see the good when you could focus on the bad. That doesn't mean you avoid serious conversations. It means you bring balance. You remind both of you that love is not only about solving problems, it's about enjoying the journey. Think of the couples who inspire you most. They're not the ones who never argue or who live in constant romance novels. They're the ones who can laugh together, even in tough times. They tease each other, they play, they keep the spark alive. That's why playfulness is so powerful. It doesn't just create joy in the moment, it creates resilience in the relationship. It makes love strong enough to handle storms, because no storm can last when laughter is still present. The truth is, men remember how you make them feel more than anything else. And if you make him feel like life is lighter, brighter, more fun with you, he will never want to let you go. He'll look at you and think, With her, I'm not just living, I'm alive. That's the difference between attraction and devotion. Attraction can come from many things, but devotion comes from joy. So, if you want to understand why playfulness is such an irresistible feminine energy, here it is. It's not just about fun, it's about freedom. You free him from the weight of the world. You free him from the seriousness that drains his spirit. You free him to be himself, fully and joyfully. And when a man feels that freedom with you, he doesn't just fall in love, he falls deeper every single day. Because in the end, beauty may catch his eye, but joy captures his heart. And the woman who can laugh with him, play with him, and bring light to his darkest days, she is the woman he will never forget, never replace, and never stop loving.